I'm Gabe Abshire. This is Connecting the Journey.
Hey guys, welcome back to Connecting the Journey, where we take a little bit of time to look in the past so we can move forward with full gratitude. I feel like as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we're always looking to what's next, and very seldom do we look back and see what actually got us here. So today we're going to spend some time with Mike Osborne from KW Denton. You're out of the Denton office, and talk about his story and see what's new, see where he came from, and see what's exciting. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Gabe. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you.
Nice to be here. So we've been partnered for about 5-6 years now, and you're out of the Denton office. We were talking earlier that I went to college in Denton, and so I really wish I could have go back in time and buy all those rental houses that I spent time in, because I'm sure the Denton market is blowing up.
Absolutely. I mean, it's exploded, especially, I'm sure from that time, but even just over the last, 10 years, we've seen a tremendous amount of growth.
Yeah. How far is it north now? I mean, when I was there, like kind of 380 was kind of like the loop, right? Has it moved quite past 380?
It has to some degree. I mean, once you get past, 380, you kind of get to that backside of Loop 288.
Yep.
And so we have started to see some more development on that backside of Loop 288, with apartment complexes, not a whole lot of commercial going on over there in that area. Obviously, a lot of that commercial happened there at Razor Ranch off of 380, and that's really started to build up that area of northern Denton. So you're getting a lot of activity and homes and things going on over there. So yeah.
So Mike, where'd you grow up at?
So I've spent about the last 25 years in the North Texas area. Lake Dallas, went to Lake Dallas High School.
Okay.
And that's where I ended my freshman year. Moved here when I was 14. I was born in Kentucky, just to kind of back up and go to that. And we moved around quite a bit with my dad's job and so forth. Wasn't in the military, but we moved like we were in the military.
Yeah. What kind of work did he do?
He worked in the printing industry.
Okay.
So magazines, calendars, just you name it.
Salesman, manufacturer, printing press. What do you?
Yeah, printing press.
Okay.
Yeah, and managing those positions and so forth for pressmen and so forth. But we moved, like I said, quite a bit, in my younger years. I started in Kentucky. We moved to, from there, Memphis. I've lived in Nebraska, Minnesota. I've lived in Indiana, Ohio. And then from Ohio, we moved here I was in Dayton, Ohio. Actually went to 3 different high schools when I was a freshman. So started in Ohio, and then we moved here, and we stayed in Las Colinas in an apartment while our home was being built in Lake Dallas.
Okay.
And at that point, I had to actually go to R.L. Turner, and surprisingly, it was zoned to R.L. Turner, living in that Las Colinas area when I think about that.
Really?
Yeah, it was. Bus came there and everything to the apartment complex. So, once our house was finished, we moved to Lake Dallas, and then I finished out my, freshman year at Lake Dallas and then graduated from there as well.
What do you think? That's a lot of moving around as a kid, right?
It is.
I mean, there's probably some pros and cons to it. What are some of the positive things that came out of that? What do you think looking back now, what'd you learn from that time in your life?
I would say, it maybe kind of shaped me, to be somewhat independent, and not necessarily, rely on having, the same people in my life in terms of friends and things like that, which, I think from a positive perspective, it kind of helped me, to not be someone who's afraid of change.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably the biggest thing, and just kind of accepting, the things that happen and just adapting and moving, forward. So
I'm sure it wasn't easy when you're going through that as a kid, but it's fun to be able to look back now and go, that prepared me for life, right? I mean, you had to go into different schools, make new friends,
right,
and just have a good attitude as change happens in your life.
Absolutely, and just adapting,
Yeah.
So
Speaking of change, you've been in Denton for a while, Lake Dallas. It's that same area. Like,
right.
You've really seen that area change and grow over the last, really 25 years since you've been there.
Absolutely.
What do you think's grown the most? Like, is Lake Dallas, is that still kind of a smaller community, or is that really kind of grown like the rest of the area?
Yeah, Lake Dallas is still a relatively small community. Of course, as most people probably know, it's nestled between Louisville and Denton, just on the northern side of the Louisville Lake there. And so, Lake Dallas is one city of four that we like to refer to as the Lake Cities, which you have Corinth, Lake Dallas, Shady Shores, and then Hickory Creek.
Yep.
So pretty much, we kind of refer to that as the Lake Cities, but it's more, I think, Lake Dallas and that community of the Lake Cities, it's more of a, just a small town community where, there's not, people aren't coming there as like a place to shop, or, we don't have a whole lot of, commercial development outside of just, restaurants for eating and grocery shopping and so forth. Just a nice small town, community feel. I think Corinth and Hickory Creek in general have grown more than Lake Dallas has. Lake Dallas, of course, is kind of on that eastern side of 35, closer to the lake, and then Corinth, most of Corinth is kind of a little bit north of that, and then on the western side of 35. So we've started to get more commercial development out there in the Corinth area. They're starting to look at doing some of the commercial with like apartments and so forth that I know is coming up here soon, kind of in that Corinth area. But I would say majority of the growth obviously has happened in the Denton area, which is much larger than the Corinth and Lake Dallas area. Yeah.
Yeah, as I told you, I went to college there, so we spent a good amount of time on the lake, and it was funny to see how there was so much land on the lake, but a lot of it wasn't developed. But I think now they're starting to sell some of those lakefront lots and develop some of that land. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how that town grows, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it stays kind of this little nice community with things growing around it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
So how long have you been in real estate?
So I been in real estate for a little over 10 years now.
Okay.
Yes,
and
sir.
What'd you do before you got into the real estate world?
So prior to real estate, I was actually a licensed stockbroker, securities broker. I worked for TD Ameritrade for a few years and was in the financial world. So kind of going back, I started out of high school, working in banking. And worked for Woodforest Bank and Wells Fargo, and then from there got interested in more in the securities world of being a stockbroker, and ended up going and working for TD Ameritrade, getting my license, my Series 7, 63, and 66, and ended there before I got into real estate as fixed income advisor. So just helping people, with bond trading and their investments relative to fixed income.
Yeah. What drew you to that industry?
I think just numbers. I tend to enjoy numbers, and as well, I would say just the opportunity to for how lucrative it could be in terms of financially for me and so forth, and just my interest in money, and I guess numbers and so forth kind of got me interested in banking, and then banking just kind of pushed me more into being interested into investments, security investments, and kind of how that worked. So
I see you had a cleaning business for a while before you got into real estate. What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was kind of honestly an interim kind of thing that I started up and kind of really fell into. When I was in between, being a stockbroker and then getting into the real estate business. I kind of jumped all into the real estate business and was actually doing a few different things besides studying for my real estate business, to kind of get me through to that
as
point.
Most agents do.
Until I got successful in real estate, and the cleaning business was one of them. It actually. It's funny, the opportunity fell into my lap from our market centers and them having an issue with the current cleaners. And, I picked that up as kind of my first deal of actually, cleaning both buildings.
Okay, so commercial cleaning?
Yeah, commercial cleaning. So more so it was just, primarily, based around, doing the market centers and so forth. And, shortly after that, I finished my license and, just really focused solely, on real estate going forward from that point.
Okay. What got you, I guess, out of the financial world and made you want to, what made you want to get into real estate?
Well, what made me want to get into real estate was I ended up actually getting let go from TD Ameritrade. Okay. So, this was not too long after the financial crisis. Yep. At that point, I was just kind of thinking, what else could I look to get into that could be as lucrative as, this working as a, stockbroker. And I had a friend who had just got licensed and working with Keller Williams, and he invited me to a career night at the Flower Mound office. And, I'd always had a kind of an interest and a desire of getting into real estate investing. And since I was, younger teenager and so forth, and I thought, well, maybe this is an opportunity for me to kind of, get into real estate and utilize that as a stepping stone to at some point maybe do some real estate investing and just learn about, real estate in general. Like I said, went to the career night. Really liked what they talked about in terms of you being able to kind of run your own business. And I really, liked the fact of the, Keller Williams and just what they offer in terms of a brokerage, their culture, their training, technology, things of that nature. And so I decided that night to, sign up and join Keller Williams and start this, journey of real estate, and got licensed. Actually went to, the Denton office because that's, more where I was playing and living, relative. And so I kind of moved over there to the Denton office as my home office, and then, the rest is history from there. So.
Nice. Was that scary for you? Like, because I mean, you're going from, I guess you're kind of in between. You maybe have some side gigs, but I mean, to start as an agent, I think, to start as an agent is probably one of the toughest gigs out there, right? People think that it's easy and that you're just going to be making all kind of money, but it's a grind. I mean, that's our customers. That's who we serve, and so it's been interesting to see that from a different perspective. But what was your thought process like when you pulled the trigger?
Yeah, it was super, scary. I mean, to go from, working for someone, getting a paycheck, when I was with TD Ameritrade, I mean, I was a salaried employee with, the potential for bonus based on production and so forth. So to go to now, just completely 100% commission, running your own business, basically, that was, definitely scary. And I'm the type of guy that, I kind of like for things to be in order and you know, be able to control them to some degree, and so that was certainly nerve-wracking. But I just kept, my faith, in the Lord, that He was gonna, see me through in terms of that journey, and just took that step forward, and here we are. But it's absolutely, not easy, for anybody, not even just us as agents, but, I think even, someone who just owns a business or is an entrepreneur, it's a tough thing. You have to really be constantly thinking about your mindset.
Yeah, and you mentioned faith. You got to have faith that things are going to work out, and you keep rowing to the future. KW is a great organization, great education company. Really, helps agents get off the ground and continues to help them grow with their coaching program. Who were some of your mentors starting out that really made a difference for you?
Yeah, so some of my biggest mentors would be the McKissicks. They are very well known in Denton. Probably the top team in Denton in terms of real estate. Since the early 80s. And so I actually started out, working with them on their team for the first couple of years of my real estate career. And so, the things that they've accomplished, in terms of building a big business and team and being involved in the community and so forth, I've really, they've really inspired me to really kind of, just work on yourself daily and try to do what you can to be as great as possible. So definitely, Jim and Linda McKissick, Brad, Susan McKissick, those are some of the people that really, I have influenced me. Not to mention Myra Oliver, who was our team lead initially at when I first started with KW Denton. So those are a few people who have really kind of influenced me, relative to real estate.
Well, it sounds like you had a good team starting out. To learn from the Kissicks was definitely a blessing. You still engaged with them on coaching? Are you still in their office now currently?
Absolutely, yeah. That's okay. KW has been the first place that I started and the only place I've been, and KW Denton in particular. Like I said, the Flower Mound deal was just really where I signed up, and have been at KW Denton ever since. But yeah, absolutely. So
10 years. So you started in kind of like 14?
13, yeah.
13? Okay.
August of 13.
So coming out of '09 a little bit, so you saw probably the back end of that.
Right.
How are you dealing with the current situation that we're in with interest rates and the inventory shortage and things like that?
Yeah, no, definitely. It has been since I got into real estate. It's just been.
Yeah, you've been riding it up.
Yeah, straight up.
You haven't experienced this.
You're right. So it is certainly at this point. What I'm looking at is just focusing on more and more on getting back to the basics, right? Mm-hmm. Getting back to, focusing on lead generation, and making that a part of your daily habits, and, reaching out to people and just getting in front of more people, than we have, before, just with the market, shifting like it is.
People are still moving though.
They are.
Right. I mean, like people yes, if you're in a 3-4% interest rate, you don't want to move, but life happens, right? And
that's right.
People have to move.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, and that's what you got to focus on. I mean, trying to get yourself in front of the people who have a reason to move. I think relative to that, and with interest rates and things where they are, we're starting to see that buyers are more picky. They take a bit longer, to make a decision, than they had before, but yeah, like you said, people are still moving. The market is still very active.
Yeah.
You mentioned the supply problem that has not, changed, from the standpoint of us moving out of a seller's market. Supply has, doubled and even tripled in a lot of areas, but we were already at an extremely low level,
Right.
like, back, I'd say probably beginning parts of 22, we were at sometimes 2 weeks to 1 month of supply.
Yeah.
And then now, we're knocking on the door of probably 3 months, maybe 4 months in some areas, depending on that. But a balanced real estate market, as you may or may not know, is 6 to 6.5 months. Once you get over that, 5.5 or so month mark, then you start to move more into a buyer's market. But yeah, it's still rather active. I mean, days on market are of course up. But I think that's, ultimately just because we have more supply than we ever had. But
What's average days on market in your area that you work?
I would say average days on market is, probably about 25 to 30. Yeah.
It's healthy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's
exactly. It's nothing crazy.
It's not 2 days with multiple offers. I mean, that's just insanity. I mean, it's hard to manage that, and hard to have a stable business that you can focus on growing.
Absolutely. And I mean, in terms of median price, I mean, we're, in most areas, we're down slightly to what we were a year ago. So, I mean, while interest rates are up and that's challenging, I mean, it's a good time to, buy in the fact that you can, be able to get a lot more, than what you were able to as a buyer, year and a half ago.
Yeah, we got some good news yesterday. I mean, I guess it's good news that the rates are going to stay. I think better news with that they would creep down a little bit. My and who knows, everybody has an opinion on this, but my thought is that rates have to come down a little bit before the elections.
Yeah.
And so I think, hopefully they'll start creeping down a little bit. But who knows? I mean, everybody has their opinion of, hold on till 25. I talked to somebody yesterday that thinks that it'll be 2 or 3 years before they start coming down. And so who knows, but you nailed it, right? I mean, regardless of the situation, we've been through this in 08. That's actually when I started my business, was in 2009. So I'm very familiar with this situation. I'm kind of excited, because there's so much opportunity for us. There's, still 6 million people that are moving.
Absolutely.
We're touching a small portion for you. Same deal in your market. There's still a ton of people moving.
Absolutely.
You just got to get out in front of the people and knock more doors and talk to more people and
that's right.
Just market yourself a little bit better.
Absolutely. I think we just got to be, even more purposeful.
Yep.
In how we, do things and move, and just like I said, focus on, getting back to the basics. It's easy to lose that when you've, been doing well.
Exactly.
And so, that's what I'm focused on, right now, and trying to expand and grow things, relative to my business.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you love about real estate? Like, I mean, obviously the opportunity for money, I think that brings everybody in, but that's not the driving force. Like, what's your why? Like, what do you love about being a real estate agent?
My biggest thing that I love about being a real estate agent, and I think, is just, helping people, to get through something that can be particularly stressful and complicated, and having that ability to be knowledgeable and guide them, through that process with as little, hiccups as possible.
Yeah.
Make it as good of an experience as it can be. It's always going to be stressful, when you're buying or selling a home. But I think for me, I've got even though I never was a teacher, I've got kind of that personality that I enjoy teaching and
coaching,
educating people, on certain things that they may feel are more challenging, and just kind of paving that way, for people. So I think, my why in that, and one of the things that I love the most, is just, being able to help people when they think that it could be more convoluted than it is.
Yeah, that's definitely one of our big whys. We just want to help more people, right? I mean, we're 100% referral based, and so we work with real estate professionals, but we just want to help more people. Like, I mean, you've got a guy for everything. You've got a realtor, you've got a mortgage, title, insurance, all that stuff during a transaction.
Right.
But when it comes to hooking up your utilities and home service, you're kind of on your own. And out of the whole real estate process, that's like that's the smallest pain in the butt, because you got to deal with 6 to 7 different companies and scheduling all that. I mean, heck,
Right.
the real estate transaction may be easier because you got people along the way.
Yeah.
And so that's our wise. Just want to continue to help more people and relieve some of that stress off their plate.
Absolutely.
While they're moving, and also serving agents, right? I mean, you've been in this business for a while, right? I mean, we replace that piece of paper or that whatever that you give to your clients with a human.
Absolutely.
And what happens when things don't go right? Y'all get the phone calls.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it's just that's just talking on that really fires me up on being able to really help more people and make their move a little bit easier.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I mean, that's what I try to do in serving my clients is come with a servant's heart, try to alleviate, as much stress as I can, for certain things that I can help them with and guide them. And yeah, that's one of the reasons, why we partner with you guys is, because you guys do a great job of that, around helping them, get their utilities set up. And like you said, they're already, dealing with enough in terms of providing all this stuff to the lender and so on and so forth. And, just the trying to get that closed. And so for you guys to be able to come in and at the end there and kind of, relieve that stress of getting those utilities set up, it's great.
Yeah, just make that transition seamless.
Absolutely.
Right? You've worked so hard for this client to make sure everything goes well. We don't want it to fall apart at the end.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's not the agent's job to do what we do, right? They sell and buy houses.
Absolutely.
And you focus on revenue generating activities, and doing what we do is not a good use of that, right? But we love being able to come in. We call this gushing over our referral partners. We would love to be able to come in at this critical time and say, man, this is a service that your agent provides for you, right?
Absolutely.
And Mike and his team provides for you because they know that it's stressful, right? He's been working with you. They know it's stressful. We want to make sure the transition is smooth and that we relieve some of that stress off your plate,
Absolutely.
And that's kind of, that's what you do as a real estate agent too.
Yeah.
I think we're in, I've been around real estate ever since, really ever since I started really out of college. I've always had an affinity for it. So I know the real estate industry. And so sometimes I think, well, what do we need agents for, right? Mm-hmm. Especially an interesting topic now with what's going on.
Yeah.
And so, but seeing the behind the scenes and seeing how agents really help somebody that has no idea.
Right.
Agents are a huge value to the community, right?
Absolutely.
Because there's so many people that are moving that don't know what's going on, or
That's
they're
right.
moving with kids and a job and family and all that stuff. They need a trusted professional like you to really shepherd them through this process.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot more to it than I think a lot of people really think until they get into it.
Yeah, and some people are in it. Some people understand it. Maybe there's a option for someone to do a iBuyer program or something like that. But
Right.
I think the vast majority of people need someone to help them and need someone to be looking out for their best interests.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that.
Do you focus on buyers or sellers? What's your mix?
I don't really have a focus per se. The saying in real estate is always list last. That's what we hear. But my business is like yours, 100% referral based. Repeat clients and so forth. So it can kind of come, from anything. It can be a buyer, seller. They can want to look, anywhere in Dallas, Fort Worth. I help, people coming from out of state and so forth. But I would say my business is probably, if you looked at it, it's probably, I'd say 60% buyers, 40% sellers. And then I also still to this day do a lot of, helping people find rental property and also helping people put their properties up for rent.
Yeah.
But I would say probably about a 60-40 split, buyer, seller.
How's the rental market now?
Rental market's good. It's to some degree, like the purchase and sales market has softened. But
investment side of things, I mean, people still buying rental houses. I guess if they if they're a cash buyer, it makes a ton of sense for them to be scooping up houses now, not so much on a 8.5%.
Yeah, not so much on a finance deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to cash flow, depending on how much money you're putting down when you're financing a property for rental investment. But it's good. I mean, it's healthy. It's still in a number of areas relatively short supplied, but it has just softened due to the market and the activity and so forth, slowing a bit. But I think what will continue to drive that and maybe increase that even more is just the people that have maybe decided that now's not the time for them to buy because of where interest rates are at. And so those people, may look to jump more back into the rental market, which could increase, prices could go up rent wise based on that.
Yeah. I'd like to ask this question. Looking back, you've been in real estate for 10 years. What would you have done differently? And what would you have told your younger self?
I would say, probably what I would have done differently from the start is really just focus and plan my day around focusing on lead generation and actually setting, a certain number of hours within the day that I, strictly follow, where you're calling and getting in front of people or, figuring a way to get some leads in that time period. So I would say that would probably be something that I do a little bit differently and focus on. As far as what I tell my younger self,
mindset wise, right? So what would I do differently in the business? You talked about that, but like mentally, mindset, like what would you go back and tell your younger self?
I would say, mentally and just around mindset, to not be too concerned with, maybe the outcome of what's going to happen, in terms of the steps that I'm taking towards trying to be successful, and just not be so anxious about that, and just focus on the things that you can control. So that would probably be one of the biggest things I would tell my younger self. If I could go back in time and do that,
the outcomes will come. It's about the inputs and the present, being present, right? You really can't control the future, and you really can control a very small thing of the present. So focus on what you can control at all times.
Absolutely. Try to figure out. I would probably tell myself to go back and try to figure out, and focus on that 20% instead of that 80% that we tend to focus on. And double down on that.
Yeah, I heard something really good today. Let your future define your present.
Absolutely.
Right? See where you want to be in the future, and what actions and what things do you focus on now, so you can define that future goal.
Absolutely. I think you were talking about Ben Hardy. I think he your future self now, I think, is also
it's one of his books.
One of his books that I've been listening to lately, and Linda kind of got me on that too. And so that goes right in with what you're saying as far as you're focusing on your future self. Will kind of get you to where you need to be.
Yeah. Have you read The Gap and the Gain?
I haven't read that one yet, but I definitely want to. That's another one that I've heard Linda reference.
Yeah.
And I've heard her talk about, in her podcasts and so forth. But I definitely on my list to check out.
Yeah, it's awesome. It flows with the show a little bit, right? I mean, you've got trauma and you've got things in your past, but don't let that define your future. But then looking back and just measuring backwards versus forward.
Absolutely.
If you're measuring forward, you're never going to get there.
That's right.
It's a moving target.
That's
right.
right.
And when you get there, and if you don't have that journey with gratitude, when you get there, you're going to be unfulfilled. Right.
Absolutely.
So always look back and see where you came from.
Absolutely.
So speaking of that, like you've been in the business 10 years, right?
Yes, sir.
What were some of the big accomplishments that you've had over these last 10 years?
Well, just I would say, my biggest accomplishment was last year. From that point to last year, I was able to become the #1 individual agent in my market center in KW Denton. So, that's been something that obviously is something that I look at and am very grateful
awesome.
for and thankful for. And
in
speaking
a tough time.
Exactly. Yeah. I was, a lot of people I think weren't doing as well last year, and just how things had shifted, in kind of that summertime of last year. So I'm super thankful, when I look at that and, where I've come from. So that's, definitely one of my biggest accomplishments, and as well, just being here still now, 10 years in the business, because as you talked about earlier, it's not easy. There's a high attrition rate, relative to, agents and just owning a business in general. And so what I've been able to build, from that time until now, and to, get to that, point of what I accomplished last year, that, is really, really, really great feeling.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great feeling. Last summer was rough. It's definitely rough. Usually we look forward to this great summer, and it was a tough one last summer for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That was when we peaked about May of last year, and then we had a pretty good dive. I think we pulled back 10% about from that point, but then kind of bounced back when we got to the beginning of 2023, and now we're just down slightly. Yeah. So,
well, what's your future look like?
So, I'm focused right now on trying to expand, my business and try to actually, maybe start bringing some people on to create a team around what I'm doing, and just, have that ability to leverage, other people to kind of help me to grow and get to a point where I have, hopefully at some point a pretty large, real estate team, and it will allow me to just, continue to become a better individual in that, and have something that I can kind of leave as a legacy for my family, and not be the one that's, having to be in the day-to-day every single day, and so forth, and help some people, get to where I've come to, and show them that how, they can be, super successful, in this industry.
Yeah, I think that's the big jump, right? For an individual agent to start a team and really running a team like a business, and not being in the day-to-day grind, and being able to focus on what you're great at and delegate some things out. I think that's the big jump, but it's a lot easier said than done, especially in a time like this. But you also look at it and look, the real estate market is coming back. Right?
Yes.
It's not, I don't think anybody doubts that.
Right.
So, you double down and build that team now, so when it comes back, you're ready and waiting, and that takes some looking to your future
self,
to define your present.
Absolutely, and that's ultimately really what I'm focused on right now is like I am every day, trying to grow myself, but look into the future and live now where I want to be. Certainly.
Love it. What's your family? I didn't ask about your family. What's your family like?
Yeah, so I've got my wife, Vanessa. We've got a set of twins, Jalen and Ayana, boy, girl. But they're, nearly grown now. They're seniors in high school.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they both go to Lake Dallas High School, which is pretty cool. And the fact that I went there, my wife, that's where we met. We both went there. Have been together since, high school sweethearts, and but we live in Corinth, like I said, we're this year just getting ready for the kids.
They were in the last year.
Yeah, going through their senior year, going to getting ready to go to college and so forth. My son's talking about going to UNT, so
okay. Keep him close, maybe.
Yeah, he's decided that on his own. We'll see if he sticks with that, but my daughter, she's still kind of trying to decide and figure out where she wants to go, but we're it's a big transition for us this year, into that, and we're just trying to kind of adapt to that and prepare for next year, them graduating high school, and so forth, and but yeah.
Well, you met my son earlier. Well, you got any advice? He's 14. I got a 12-year-old. It says he's going from 8th to 9th grade, so it's going to be an interesting time for us. You got any advice for me?
Man, I would say, just you have to stay on top of them like we always do, right? I mean,
yeah.
I would just,
You had them two at the same time, so maybe it was a little bit easier. But when did they start? When did they start pushing away and
Right about this age,
right about
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but
I feel it. I feel it for sure.
Yeah,
they start making their own plans and doing their own thing and not wanting to hang out. And luckily, I may have a little bit, few more, maybe a year or so with Renee. But yeah, it's an interesting time. And then, when they're graduating high school, I'm sure that time flew by for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's certainly flown by for me. I mean, if I could offer any advice, I'd say definitely savor those moments of where you are right now, and try to be as present as possible in that, because it does fly by.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
well, man, thanks for spending some time with us. It was really great to get to know you, and appreciate your partnership. We love partnering with you guys and love partnering with KW, and it's just a great organization. But I really appreciate you spending some time with us, and excited to get to know you a little bit more, and we're excited to keep serving you.
Absolutely, Gabe. It's been a pleasure. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for joining us today on Connecting the Journey. As always, let's take a little bit of time today to take a deep breath, smell the roses, look back at where we came from, look back at all those moments that got you where you are today, so we can move forward with full heart and full gratitude. Thanks so much. I appreciate you.